Alright guys, I'm still currently looking over the Boris Johnson EU deal, but while that's going on, we do have more talk of EU nations packing their bags and joining us walking out the door. It's not really surprising to me, but it's always good news. This report that we're going to look at is actually something I touched on in my Brexit birthday and 150,000 subscriber milestone livestream that I did on Christmas Eve with Rotten Politics. So I guess I should say thanks to all who didn't see that helped me hit the 150,000 subscriber mark. But anyway, this article is talking about who might leave the EU next, and the names we all mentioned are in this list, but I would actually add some more names to the ones that are listed in the article, and go as far as to say if one more leaves, there could well be a domino effect sending the EU into the shit pit of history where it belongs. And actually, Andrew Neil pointed out that the EU is likely to become an economic backwater in about 15 years, which obviously absolutely salt-mined Remainers in the process. I might have to cover that in a separate video actually, it will be a great salt mine. But back to the EU and possible exits, let's take a look at this Express article that we have here. It headlines, EU braced for pandemonium as Dan Hannan warns 3 countries will follow the UK out of the bloc. Daniel Hannan has warned 3 countries will soon follow Britain out of the EU in an exclusive interview with express.co.uk. He said, the question is not if Britain will rejoin the EU. The question is who's going to be the next to leave, which is kind of obvious. Britain is never going to rejoin it, no matter how hard they try. Well, at least not in name anyway. They might try and sneak it in there some way in the future, but they certainly won't be telling the people of this country about it. He goes on, who is going to be the first to join us and the other 170 odd countries outside the EU, trading with our neighbours but governing ourselves. He noted there are 2 ways in which it could happen. No, there are probably more than 2 ways, but the ways that he will list here are actually correct, or at least in my opinion. He says it could happen accidentally because of some economic shock, which could well come soon. In that case, he said, I think Italy would be the next candidate, or it could happen Brexit style. In other words, a referendum, demand for a referendum, and a successful referendum. I think I would probably at that moment put my money on the Netherlands, which is also something I have pointed out before, but I have to nod in the direction of Denmark, which is also having a similar debate, he added. So there he's putting down the Netherlands, Denmark, and of course Italy, who as I've said before are only a few short steps away from actually saying fuck it, let's go. They was not exactly treated very well by the EU at the start of the year, let's be honest. And as we all know, it's not just political pundits and former MEPs as we've got here saying this. The people of these countries actually think this themselves. As it says here, Euronews recently reported that among voters in the EU's Big Four of Italy, Germany and France and Spain, polling had found that Italians were the most in favour of leaving the EU in 5 years' time if Brexit is seen to be benefiting the UK, with 45% either agreeing or strongly agreeing with the idea. Moreover, Eurosceptic parties are quickly emerging in the country, something I have actually covered. And actually, if reports today are to be believed, I'm sure the UK's economy is expected to be 23% higher than France's within the next couple of years, if it's not already. So I would suggest us doing better than them is going to happen, unless of course Boris Johnson fucks us over, which he's been doing all year at this point. And it goes on here, in an exclusive interview with express.co.uk, Italia exit party spokesman Sergio Montanaro revealed how he plans to take Rome out of the bloc in less than 2 years. This is obviously something I would 100% support every day of the week. To get Italy out of the EU would obviously be gold dust to us Brexiteers, and signal the end of the shit show within a couple of years of that, I'm sure. He said, our goal is to leave the EU because it is possible. It is about political will. It is about public will forcing politicians to do what they should be doing, running the country that the people elect them to do, not delegating shit off to Brussels so they can say, oh, the EU's done this, the EU's done that. He said, the Italian people, just like the British, want to get out of this cage. Our plan is simple. We will bring into Parliament people who want to leave the European Union, which is obviously a better idea than the way that we did it with the remaining fuckpigs that we had to deal with over the past 4 years, and the possible sellout that the Brexit deal might be, which as I said, I'm still reading through it, and I'm not happy with a fair portion of it so far. It says here, Mr. Montanaro noted, the problem is that there are a lot of confusion about what to do. when actually it is very simple. If we are the governing party, the first thing we would do is trigger Article 50 of the Lisbon Treaty. And let me tell you, if your parliament's full of Remainers, it won't be that easy, as we have seen here. He said we would then create a parallel currency flanked by the euro during the 2 years it takes to actually leave the bloc. In those 2 years, we would negotiate with other states, and all of them would want to do trade deals with us. Yes, which is something we have also seen. How many trade deals has Liz Truss actually done in the past few months? She appears to be one of the very few government ministers that's actually doing a good job. Pretty piss poor Patel is certainly not one of them, let me tell you. He goes on though, this is because we believe that we carry the message of national identity. We'll get back control of your nation and its currency. Hopefully you do a better job of that than Boris Johnson and Theresa May obviously did. Mr Montanaro claimed his party was inspired by Brexit party leader Nigel Farage, who can arguably be credited for Britain's departure from Brussels. Yes, he can be credited with pressuring politicians to actually do it, but the people who should really be credited is obviously the people of this country that voted to leave, all 17.4 million of them, not any politician or activist against it. The people who stood up and told the EU to fuck off are the ones that deserve the credit. The rest of them were just pawns helping it along the way. Now obviously we hope Italy, the Netherlands and of course Denmark join us in some sort of freedom, but we will have to wait and see. I expect Hungary and Poland could also be ones that leave in the future, though as it stands it's certainly not as likely as say Italy or the Netherlands, and these countries can guarantee that the UK will trade with them on favourable terms to both of us, not like the EU who only cares about itself as we know.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors, slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr Verhofstadt, against their empires. And that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going and we are glad to be going. We're off.